Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Old Charles. So, you're cleaning out your parents' attic, or maybe you're going through an old coin collection, and you find it. A big, chunky, silver-looking coin from 1974. The Kennedy half-dollar. You hold it in your hand and the first question that pops into your head is this thing worth anything? I mean, it feels substantial, it looks like silver. Could you be holding a small fortune? Well, the short answer for most 1974 half-dollars is not really. And this is a huge but there are specific, rare versions of this coin that can be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. The difference between a 50-cent coin and a $5,000 coin comes down to a few tiny details that most people completely overlook. So, before you spend it, sell it for face value, or just toss it back in a drawer, stick with me. In this video, we're diving deep into the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar. We'll uncover its history, break down its true metal value, and I'll give you a step-by-step guide to identifying the key varieties and errors that could make you a very happy collector. Let's get started. To understand the 1974 half-dollar, we need a quick history lesson. The Kennedy half-dollar was first minted in 1964 as a memorial to the assassinated President John F. Kennedy. It was an instant hit. The public hoarded them, wanting a keepsake of their beloved president. From 1965 to 1970, the coins were minted in a silver-clad composition, which is 40% silver. But by 1971, due to the rising price of silver and the coin's lack of circulation, people just kept them. The U.S. Mint made a major change. That's right. The 1974 Kennedy half-dollar, and all have since 1971, are made of a pure copper core, sandwiched between layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This means the vast majority of 1974 halves have no meaningful silver content. They are, for all intents and purposes, a 50-cent piece made of cheap metal. So, if it's not silver, why are we even talking about it? Because value in coin collecting isn't just about precious metal. It's about scarcity, condition, and errors, and that's where the 1974 gets interesting. Let's look at the common versions first. In 1974, half-dollars were minted at two facilities, Philadelphia Mint ***, no mint mark. We call this the 1974 P, Denver Mint ***, with a D mint mark, the 1974 D. The mints produced over 300 million of these coins combined. They are exceptionally common, because they are so common. A circulated 1974 P or 1974 D half-dollar, one with scratches, wear, and loss of detail, is worth exactly face value, 50 cents, you can spend it at the store. But what about uncirculated coins? If you have one that's been sitting in a bank roll or a mint set since 1974, it might be worth a small premium. MS stands for mint state, a grading scale from 1 to 70 that measures a coin's preservation. An MS-65 coin is a really nice, well-struck coin with great luster and only minor contact marks. You'd need to get it professionally graded for the higher end of that value, which costs money, so for a raw coin, a few dollars is realistic. So, for the standard 1974 P and 1974 D, we're not talking about life-changing money. But now, let's get to the good stuff. This is the coin you actually want to find. This is the 1974 S silver-proof Kennedy half-dollar. Notice I said silver-proof. Let me explain. The San Francisco Mint, identified by the S mint mark, produced special proof coins for collectors. These are struck multiple times on specially polished planchets to create a mirror-like background and frosted design. They are sold in sets directly from the mint. In 1974, the San Francisco Mint made proof coins in two different compositions. One, the copper-nickel clad proof ***, the same material as the regular coins. 2. The 40% silver proof 1974 S, clad proof ***, common, value, $3 to $8 1974 S, silver proof, scarcer, value $10 to $25. How can you tell the difference? You can't buy looks alone, you have to weigh it. This is the most important tip of the entire video. The clad proof weighs 11.34 grams. The silver proof *** weighs 11.50 grams, that tiny 0.16 gram difference is the difference between a $5 coin and a $25 coin. If you find a 1974 S-proof coin, get out a precision scale. If it weighs 11.50 grams, you've got a winner. Beyond the silver proofs, the other area where the 1974 half-dollar can be valuable is in mint errors. The massive production runs meant mistakes happened, and collectors pay big bucks for them. Here are the key errors to look for. This is a famous and valuable variety. Look closely at the obverse, the head side, of any 1974 D half-dollar. You're looking for clear doubling, especially in the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." This isn't machine doubling, which is flat and shelf-like, but true, separate doubling from a mis-made die. A strong example in uncirculated condition can be worth $200 to $500 or more. This is when the coin isn't struck squarely in the collar. The more off-center it is, the more valuable it becomes. A 5% off-center might be worth $20, but a 50% off-center strike could be worth $100 or more. This happens when the metal strip for the planchets, blanks, isn't fed correctly, resulting in a coin with a curved clip missing. Depending on the size of the clip, these can be worth $20 to $75. Remember, condition is king. An error coin that is also in mint state condition will always be worth a significant premium. Alright, let's do a quick recap so you know exactly what to do. 1. Most 1974 halves, P&D mint, are worth 50 cents to a few dollars. Don't get your hopes up for these. 2. The star is the 1974 S silver proof. Look for the S mint mark and weigh it. 11.50 grams equals 40% silver equals $10 to $25.3. Check for errors on your 1974 D coins, especially. The double die obverse to SO, the 1974 half-dollar isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, but it's a perfect example of why you should always look closer. A tiny mint mark or a fraction of a gram can make all the difference. The history of the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar is inextricably linked to the dramatic story of the series' creation and the changing landscape of American coinage in the mid-20th century. To understand the 1974 coin, one must start years earlier. The catalyst for the Kennedy half-dollar was the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in Dallas, Texas, on November 22, 1963. The nation was plunged into deep mourning, and there was an immediate, public desire for a fitting memorial. Within days of the assassination, Mint Director Eva Adams contacted Chief Engraver of the U.S. Mint, Gilroy Roberts, and suggested the replacement of the current half-dollar design, the Benjamin Franklin half-dollar, with a portrait of Kennedy. The choice of the half-dollar was strategic. It was a prominent denomination but not so central to daily commerce as the dime or quarter, allowing for a quicker design and production process. Gilroy Roberts used a portrait he had already created for a Kennedy presidential medal. It featured a facing-left bust of the late president. Assistant engraver Frank Gasparo adapted the presidential seal from a medal he had designed, featuring a heraldic eagle. The Treasury Department approved the design on December 13, 1963, and Congress passed legislation authorizing the new coin on December 30, 1963. The public could not get enough of them. The first Kennedy half-dollars, struck in 90% silver, were released to the public in March 1964. They were hoarded en masse as sentimental keepsakes, not spent as currency. This hoarding phenomenon would define the coin's fate for decades to come. The Coinage Act of 1965 was a watershed moment for all U.S. coinage, driven by a nationwide silver shortage. The rising price of silver was causing coins to be worth more than their face value, leading to widespread melting. The act removed silver from the dime and quarter, making them from copper-nickel-clad layers. However, the half-dollar received a compromise due to its size and tradition. From 1965 to 1970, the Kennedy half-dollar was minted in silver-clad composition, an inner core of 21.5% silver and 78.5% copper, bonded to outer layers of 80% silver and 20% copper. This resulted in an overall silver content of 40%. Despite this change, the public hoarding continued. The 1964 coin and the subsequent 40% silver versions were still seen as memorials, and very few entered circulation. The U.S. Mint was producing hundreds of millions of half-dollars that simply vanished into drawers and safe deposit boxes. By 1970, the situation was unsustainable. The 40% silver composition was becoming uneconomical, and the half-dollar remained a non-circulating coin. The Mint needed to make a decisive change to get the coin into public hands. In 1971, the Kennedy half-dollar's composition was changed to the same copper-nickel clad used in the dime and quarter, a pure copper core sandwiched between outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This is the composition that remains in use today. This brings us to the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar one. A common circulating coin, in theory. By 1974, the Mint had been producing the copper-nickel version for 4 years. The 1974 coins from the Philadelphia, No Mint Mark, and Denver, D Mint Mark, mints were produced in massive numbers, over 280 million combined, with the explicit goal of encouraging circulation. They were now just regular coinage, stripped of their precious metal content. Point 2. The last year of an iconic Mint Mark placement asterisk for the 1974 coins, the Mint Mark, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, was still located on the obverse, just below Kennedy's neck truncation. This was a tradition dating back to the first issues. Starting in 1980, Mint Marks would be moved to the reverse side. This makes the 1974, and all prior, coins part of a distinct historical grouping. Point 3. The collector's distinction asterisk. The San Francisco Mint focused on producing proof coins for collectors. In 1974, it struck 2 types of proof coins: copper-nickel clad proofs asterisk asterisk, the standard version, matching the circulation strikes. 40% silver proofs asterisk asterisk, a special version struck in the older, 40% silver composition, specifically for collectors who wanted a silver Kennedy half-dollar from the 1970s. This created a clear, valuable distinction for collectors that persists today. The history of the Kennedy half-dollar is a microcosm of 20th-century American numismatics. It began as a spontaneous national memorial born from tragedy. It was immediately hoarded, reflecting its deep sentimental value. It underwent a major metallic composition change twice, mirroring the US's move away from the silver standard. By 1974, it had settled into its modern, base metal form.